Today on the Beyond the Garden Basics podcast, well, I'm glad I'm inside right now. Outside, the temperature is above 100 degrees. In fact, in many parts of the country right now, including the Pacific Coast states, the Southwest, the South, the Southeast, there's a heat wave going on. So what's going to happen in your garden when these summer or summer-like heat waves hit? That's what we're talking about today. The first part of today's Beyond the Garden Basics podcast was recorded live at Harvest Day at the Fair Oaks Horticulture Center back in August of 2023. Myself and America's favorite retired college horticultural professor, Debbie Flower, we were the featured speakers that day, and we had a pretty easy time filling our time with tips for thwarting the heat in the outdoor garden for plants in the ground and plants in container. The podcast portion today concentrates on helping plants in containers stay cooler in the summer. The second part of today's podcast features a 2022 chat with Sacramento County Master Gardener Gail Pothour. She has specific tips for helping your vegetable plants manage this heat. Check out today's Beyond the Garden Basics newsletter as well for tips for keeping your tomato plants producing throughout the days of summer. And we have irrigation advice in the summertime as well that you're going to learn a lot from. By the way, speaking of Harvest Day, it returns to the Fair Oaks Horticulture Center Saturday, August 1st from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's put on by the Master Gardeners of Sacramento County. And I still think, I'm not prejudiced. No, not me. I still think that this is the best garden event in Northern California because it's filled with practical advice on the best gardening techniques for backyard gardeners, and it's in a 1-acre demonstration garden. The event features educational talks. There are keynote speakers that cover topics like irrigation, growing successful plants, growing and eating homegrown food year-round, and a lot more. Small talks, too, in the various portions of the Horticulture Center. They're usually 20-minute demonstrations on practical skills like summer fruit tree pruning, herb gardening, and composting. There's expert advice from friendly master gardeners who walk around and talk with the visitors. I guess that would be my job. And that takes me throughout the gardens to answer specific questions. And there's a lot of master gardeners there to answer your questions as well. There are vendor and community booths as well. Local garden-related clubs, local and state gardening-related organizations, vendors, and food trucks are set up on the grounds. And best of all, this event is free to attend. It even has free parking. What has free parking and free attendance anymore? Harvest Day does. It typically attracts large crowds, so arriving early to beat the summer heat is recommended. Again, it's Harvest Day at the Fair Oaks Horticulture Center, Saturday, August 1st, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Free admission and plenty of free parking there at Fair Oaks Park in Sacramento County. We'll have a link to Harvest Day in today's newsletter, or just do a search for the Fair Oaks Horticulture Center, and you'll find info about Harvest Day. It'll be just a click away. Meanwhile, here's myself and Debbie Flower talking to hundreds of gardeners at a previous Harvest Day about the precautions you need to take with your container plants when a heat wave hits. It's hot.
It is.
The week before last, on a 100-degree day, I took my soil thermometer out to my potted roses, and I'm doing a rose test where I'm growing the same variety of rose in different style of pots. There's
cool.
a black plastic pot, there's a ceramic pot, there's a fiber pot, and then there's a fabric pot, smart pots, as if you would not think I wouldn't use a smart pot. Of course I would. And I stuck my soil thermometer in each of those when the temperature in the air was exactly 100 degrees. The smart pot had soil temperature of 80 degrees.
That's great.
That's great. That's a perfect temperature for growing plants.
Mm-hmm.
In the black plastic pot, the temperature was 110 degrees.
Oop, there go your roots.
There go the roots is right. University of Kentucky did a study that discovered that when temperatures in the soil get over 104, root damage can occur. When it gets over 110, roots start dying. And when your roots die, the plant dies. And you're looking at the top and you see the leaves drooping, so you think, oh, I better add water. Well, actually, water on a hot day is a good idea for soil. It'll bring down the temperature a little bit, but it only takes, 30 minutes of high temperatures to start killing off roots.
Right.
And if that black pot is in the full sun all day long, that plant is a goner because you've killed off most of the feeder roots.
So, Fred, do you have any cash pot to put around that black plastic pot?
I don't have any cash. Explain
Cash
that.
pot.
Okay. Now, this will save you time and money because your plant's going to live and you won't have to go back to the nursery to buy another plant.
The cash pot, it's spelled C-A-C-H-E. I guess it's French. Sounds like it, the spelling. It's the pretty pot. I didn't bring the prettiest because I didn't want to break them, but I brought examples of things you could use as a cash pot. First of all, I would never grow anything outdoors in a pot this small. You're going to go big in outdoor pots. And it becomes harder and harder and more expensive to find something a cash pot to fit a number 5, which is maybe a foot across, or a 15, which is about 18 inches, 15 to 18 inches across. Those are big pots and equally as tall. So to find something, what you want is a cash pot, a pot to put the grow pot in. And you'd ideally like some space. Sorry, I didn't wash them either. You'd ideally like some space between your grow pot and your cash pot. And that produces an insulative layer of air. Stops the sun from hitting the grow pot itself.
I would say we're going to talk about drainage here.
Yeah, that one doesn't have any.
This cash pot does not have drainage. And if you use a bigger pot like this to protect a smaller pot on a hot day, where's the water going to go? It's just going to sit in the bottom. And if it's sitting in the bottom, the roots are going to drown.
Right. So I've taken, I reuse everything I can think of, everything I find. So, you get styrofoam, stuff packed in styrofoam when it comes in a box. And I've broken those up, put them in a Ziploc bag, and then put that underneath this to raise this pot off the bottom. Then the water can come out the holes and be under the pot, not in it. But you still have to check it because you could have put a whole lot of water in there and it could sit there for days and days and days and you could still rot your plant. So you always have to be looking.
The nice thing about using a larger pot as well is when you put a much larger pot around the smaller pot, you've got all this airspace between the bigger pot and the smaller part, and you can insulate that inside pot even more by putting mulch between the large pot and the small pot. And that's going to bring the temperature down of the soil even more. People should have a soil thermometer. You should get one and use it. You'd be surprised. The other thing people should get to save time and money and water in the garden is get a soil moisture meter. Because when you're hot, your plant isn't necessarily hot in the soil at 8 inches down. So it's always a good habit to get into before you turn on your irrigation in the summertime or water plants by hand. Stick that moisture meter into the ground and just see how moist it is. And you'd be surprised at how moist it might be at the root level, 8 inches down. It's so moist that you may not even have to water. You can use that water to go take a shower to cool off.
But you have to calibrate your moisture meter because the moisture meter, how it works is based on really electricity and conduction of electrons through ions. Okay, I won't go there. How much fertilizer you have in the media.
Oh.
And so if you put a moisture meter in distilled water, it will read dry. So you need to check your pot when it's full of dry media and see where the moisture meter reads so that when you then put moisture in it, you can see where it changes to. Sometimes it'll read very high if you have too much fertilizer in there.
I thought you brought a shade cloth with you. Oh, you got it right there.
Right.
You. All right. Hey, you got to talk about your other tips for protecting the outside of a pot.
Right. So if you have that 15, that big 18-inch across, 18-inch tall black container full of media and a plant, it's difficult to find the cash pot that's bigger and affordable to put around it. So there are other options. One is, this is floating row cover, the kind you put on to protect the plant from flying insects. It's many layers, but I just used clothespins, which I got at the dollar store, and wrapped it around the container, and that's enough to stop the sun from hitting it. With the students, They were doing 15-gallon pots. They got to design it and grow stuff in it, and it was in full sun. We used spray paint. We took those big 15 pots and put them out on the grass. They were cleaned down so that they didn't have dirt on them. And then they spray painted. I got them yellow and gold and silver and white and pink, light colors, and they could make any design they wanted. The point was to lighten up the outside of that container. And it worked. Everybody's went, and everything grew just fine. So that's another way.
Don't forget aluminum foil.
Right. I didn't bring aluminum foil. Anybody know what aluminum foil is?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. You can wrap that around. It's kind of obnoxious. You wrap it around a pot. It's going to be, I see my something. Oh, yeah. It's the microphone flashing light around in the audience. It's my earrings. My earrings are trowels and garden tools. My husband gave them to me. A pot with aluminum foil on it is going to do that, but it's also going to protect the roots of your plant.
It'll also signal the UFOs where to land as well. So, take me away from all this, please. This row cover is also known as shade cloth.
It can be.
And shade cloth is also a great idea for protecting your in-ground plants from excessive heat. How many of you have sunburned tomatoes or peppers? Yeah. Well, a lot of that is because maybe you pruned the plant away and you took away some of the leaf cover so the fruit wasn't protected, or it's facing due south or due west and the fruit is exposed and you get that sunburn.
Or you were out of town and it got really hot and your irrigation died.
Well,
the battery died in your irrigation timer.
Who did that happen to? All right. But you can buy shade cloth in different thicknesses to protect your plants. And usually for shade cloth, if you choose a 30% shade cloth or a 40%, that's good for your outdoor full sun vegetables. If you go up to 50% or 60% shade cloth, that's good for your shade loving plants. If you have 80%, that's good for you because it could be like that. Now, the difference between using a shade cloth and a tarp or an umbrella is shade cloth allows air and water to pass through, and also eliminating the arrival of insects, too.
See how thin it is?
This is very thin. This would be, and in the wintertime, you could use it as a very thin frost cloth for about 2 degrees of protection. No, it works. It does. So it has double duty. You can use the shade cloth as a shade or as frost protection.
Or as insect protection.
Insect protection, too. That's the other tip if you want to save time, money, and water in the garden. If you don't want to buy insecticides, this is what we call integrated pest management. This is a physical control that keeps out aphids and whiteflies if you just drape it loosely over your plants to allow the plants to grow.
And it lasts a while. This has been used over and over and over again. So it's a one-time investment. Last time I was here at the garden, the blueberries were under 50% shade cloth, if you want to see what that looks like.
Yeah, you're going to find all sorts of great shade cloth there. You can buy shade cloth at just about any good nursery or online. It depends. If you need yards and yards and yards of it, then you probably would be
go to a greenhouse.
To the internet.
Go to a greenhouse supply.
Right.
Charlie's
Charlie's would have it. There's a place down in Fresno too.
Examples. You have it on your website, right? Examples of the different densities of shade cloth.
Protection from sun can be multiplied in several different ways. And the one basic thing we didn't talk about, if you have container plants, is move them to the north side of the house. Move them to the shade. And you like to use rollers.
Yeah, I have a whole collection. It's not my goal to have a whole collection of plants in pots outside my kitchen door, but they never seem to go away. So I've succumbed to the fact that they're going to be there. And I try to get, these are a little expensive. I buy a couple at a time, but rollers for underneath them. I don't like the solid ones. I like the ones that have allow water to drain out, and they're on rollers. The bigger the pot, the harder it is to find one that works well. And Fred's suggestion was furniture dollies.
Right.
Or you can make your own if you're handy with some wood and you can buy wheels and put them in. That way, having them on wheels, I can put them in the sun conditions I want them to be in, and I can move them and clean all the crap that collects underneath, primarily spider webs and leaves periodically, and then put them back. I can rearrange them if I so choose, and having them close together helps one plant shade another plant. Also, the water lost out the leaves of one plant is there available for another plant to slow down its loss of water. So it increases the humidity around the whole collection of plants.
Today's podcast and newsletter are available for all subscribers, both free and paid subscribers. But by becoming a paid subscriber, you get access to the vast library of previous newsletters and podcasts here at Beyond the Garden Basics. Paid subscribers also get priority access on getting their garden questions answered and the ability to add comments. Paid subscribers also get an exclusive newsletter and podcast each Monday. Recent episodes for paid subscribers included how to read a pesticide label, a list of easy care houseplants, and what happens when you try to grow a fruit tree from seed. Becoming a paid subscriber also is more impetus for myself to keep typing and talking about gardening, and all I'm trying to do is break even, folks. It takes money to do research and keep the digital side of things alive and well when I'd rather be out on a bike, but you understand. By the way, for you paid subscribers, thank you for your support. So let's go to part 2 of today's podcast. We turn to Sacramento County Master Gardener and vegetable expert Gail Pothour about protecting your garden vegetables on hot summer days.
Here in California, we have just went through a period of record-breaking heat, setting new records here in the Sacramento area. High temperature, all-time high temperature of 116 degrees, but it was a case of 8 or 9 days in a row where the temperatures were well above 100 degrees. What's a gardener to do when they go through a big bout of heat like that? What happens in the garden? What can you do to help your garden out? Let's talk with Master Gardener and vegetable expert Gail Pothour about your garden and the heat. Now, we're here at the Fair Oaks Horticulture Center and standing next to their beautiful raised beds. And I'm just looking around and I see plants that have browning on them, but that could just be the natural time of the year. We're here in early September and things are starting to croak in early September among the annuals, but I see some unusual browning as well.
Yeah, the plants have sort of given their all this summer. It has been really a torturous summer for the vegetable plants. And I know that probably one you're referring to is on this trellis, we have a vining baby spaghetti squash, and it's just normal. It's at the end of its life. It's ready to pick all of the mature spaghetti squash on it. But we have had a lot of sunburning. We have basil that has sunburned. We have peppers, a lot of sunburn on the peppers, even though we've shaded them. We have had such a big crop this year that we weren't able to shade everything. A lot of the fruit was outside. But tomatoes are looking a little sad. We're starting to take them out. And what else? Oh, peppers say that they're still doing great. We'll be taking them out shortly. Eggplants looking good. We have flea beetle damage on the eggplant, but the plant themselves look pretty good.
Yeah, when it comes to heat, there isn't much a gardener can do, and unfortunately, they may overwater the plant as a result. Depends on your soil, if it retains water or lets it flow through, like these raised beds would allow the water to flow through. But have you changed your watering regimen with the bout of heat we had?
Yes, and we've seen the consequences of that. We do have our raised beds and all of our containers on drip irrigation. The containers come on every day just for 5 minutes or so. And the raised beds, I'm not sure what the schedule is, but several times a week. But on our 2 work days that we have during the week, we've also been hand watering them, and we've seen some of the consequences of that. I think it's too much water. We've had winter squash that have split. And so that's my first indication that we've probably watered too much.
Well, it looks like it was a good job with the barrels with 5 minutes a day, because the plants I'm looking at that are in the half barrels, there's tomatoes and zinnias and a squash. They look pretty good.
Yeah, they do. We also have been hand watering them just in anticipation of the triple digits that we've had. We'll probably be cutting back on that now because we're supposed to be in the upper 80s this week. I'm so excited. We've all had our fill of this triple digit heat.
Yeah, and as if the heat wasn't enough, we have wildfires in our area that are sending smoke this way, and that also can have an adverse effect on the garden. What's a gardener to do if they notice ash?
Wash it off. There will be probably a lot of ash on our foliage this year and on the fruit because we do have a fire that's not too far away. So we'll be sure to wash everything before we eat it, prepare it. We'll wash off the foliage kind of after the smoke dissipates. But that could also help with the spider mite problem that we have. It's been so dry and dusty, and that's perfect for spider mites. So washing off the foliage would help there too.
Well, one of the advantages of doing that overhead watering of your plants every now and then, it brings you closer to the plant, and you can notice other things that maybe you didn't notice before, certain pest problems, for example. Oh,
yeah, like all those nymphs we've been catching of the southern green stink bug. Oh, they've been going crazy this year. We also have an infestation now of leaf-footed bugs. It didn't hit until just the last few weeks, but we've had stink bugs all summer.
So with changes in climate, I'm not a climate change denier. There's a change going on. It's getting warmer and for longer periods of time. Are you having second thoughts about placement of crops in the garden? Are you thinking maybe things need more shade now or anything like that?
Well, not so much that. We decide what goes in what bed based on what was there before.
And all the beds are full sun.
Yeah, they're all full sun. And what we're doing is providing more shade for them. So we have a lot of the floating row cover that we use for shade cloth. We might think about having more of a permanent structure, something that we could move, but maybe out of PVC or something where we could put actual shade cloth over it because you can get, higher densities that would shade better.
Yeah, but you probably don't want it too close, especially shade cloth, too close to the plant. That could create a heat situation.
Right. And what we would do is, if it's PVC frame or whatever we construct, we would have it high enough that there would be good air circulation. Because that's another thing. You want good air circulation so you don't get some diseases like powdery mildew, things like that.
What a lot of people may not know about row covers is it comes in different weight. And for shade protection in the summertime, I would think you'd want a very lightweight row cover as opposed to wintertime, and you're protecting your citrus, for example, you may want a heavier row cover.
Right. There's 5 or 6 or maybe even more different weights of the row cover. We use one that's lighter. It doesn't last more than a couple of seasons, unfortunately, because if you've ever sewn, it's like interfacing. So it's that lightweight material that tears easily. And if we need to have frost protection, which we might, we haven't the last few years, but you never know. There are some heavier weights that we can use for frost protection.
Yeah, it's hot, it's smoky, but somehow our garden adapts to it, and we can help it adapt too. Gail Pothour is a master gardener here in Sacramento County, vegetable expert extraordinaire. Gail, thank you so much.
Thank you, Fred.
Thanks for listening to today's podcast. Don't forget, you can read a transcript of what we said in case you're scratching your head about something. You can find that transcript in today's Beyond the Garden Basics newsletter, which, by the way, has more tips on coping with the heat in your garden. We have tips for protecting your tomatoes, especially, and there's some really good advice in there, especially for those tomatoes you have planted where the fruits are developing, but they're facing south or west, and they have a high chance of getting sunburn, but there are steps you can take to thwart that sunburn. Plus, we have water irrigation tips during the summer as well that can have you get a more successful summertime garden. Thanks for listening and reading the Beyond the Garden Basics.